Nice to be speaking to you, Mr. Sibal. Shades of Truth, A Journey Derailed. That's the book you've come out with. And in your own words, you've said that it's a reflection on diverse topics and contemporary concerns. I'm quoting you exactly.
That's correct.
It also, however, seems to me to be a political petition at some levels against the NDA, Prime Minister Modi in particular, ahead of the 2019 elections. Would that be a fair description?
Well, I think that somebody had to look back in the last 4.5 years, the promises made and to what extent were they delivered. And I thought it was important for us to actually put it in the form of a book and to tell the people of this country that you cannot take the country forward by selling dreams. You have to actually deliver on the ground. And that's what the book is about. It also is about the fact that we in our years failed to do certain things which we should have done. And that also is part of the book.
So when you talked about things that you should have done, did you feel the need to write this because you believe your party is perhaps somewhere unable to, as you put it, put the message across to the people? In fact, you state that this is a big part of the reason why the UPA failed to get re-elected in 2014.
That's correct.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
We could not stand up to the decisions we took, which were rational decisions, which could have been defended. But I think that we did not stand up together to defend them. And I think that events overtook us. Somehow there was...
You've called it perceptions.
Yes, absolutely. The facts were different and the perception of the people was entirely different. And we could not get rid of that perception.
The perception is not connected to facts?
No.
We'll come to that in a little while.
Yes.
In your book, you mention, I quote you, that this is the time for us to reconnect.
That's correct.
Is Rahul Gandhi the man who can help the Congress reconnect with the
I
people?
think I mentioned there that has started happening. That's the next sentence in that book which you haven't read.
No, I have.
It says,
is he connecting and in what ways?
As I said, the connection has started. And I think it's reflected in some of our victories, in some of the states and in some of the by-elections, and are reaching out to people. And I think there is now a coalition building up, a coalition of ideas, a coalition of purpose of fighting this government together.
18 defeats in the state elections, 21 over the last 4 years under Rahul Gandhi, variously as vice president and president. That proves that the people perhaps are not listening to him.
No, I don't think it's anything to do with individuals. I think it's something to do with the fact that there is a momentum that was started in 2014 which carried on for the last few years and is now petering down. And you can see in some of the recent results what's happening. And you see on the ground, and it's particularly after the 8th November, the great decision of this government and of Prime Minister Modi to demonetize. I think that's the beginning of the downfall of this government, and we're seeing that reflected in the mood of the people.
I'll come back to this. It's important. You said that it's not just Rahul Gandhi.
No, it's not any...
He is the prime ministerial face of the Congress party. He's going in against some of the best communicators on the other side. How can it not be about Rahul
The best
Gandhi?
communicators in the world have fallen from grace very quickly.
But they've got to a particular point after
that
which
point is over.
Is Rahul Gandhi going to get to that point?
I'm talking about the best communicators. I'm not talking about Rahul Gandhi.
So let me quote out of something else that I've been reading in the context of the conversation. Some people are saying that it's perhaps the fact that Rahul Gandhi's message is not good enough. Let me quote John Elliott, a journalist who's written in the Times of India on Sunday, and he was there at Rahul's London outreach, and he said, quote, Rahul failed to pitch his remarks with sufficiently anchored policy content. Rahul lets himself down with one-liners that grab the headlines and allows the BJP and Twitter trolls to mock him. His image gets reduced both in India among those who would like to be able to praise him and amongst intellectuals. In other words, what Elliott is saying is that he's an earnest man, but he's a bit of a lightweight. Not exactly the kind of man who's going to take on this BJP juggernaut.
Well, I don't know. I think that if we have to adopt Eliot's opinion, I think that there are, 1.3 billion people in this country who will have their own opinion on the Congress party and on Rahul Gandhi. So I don't think that we should be commenting on an individual's opinion. But having said that, what about the opinion of people about Narendra Modi? Have you heard people talking about? I don't think in the history of this country any prime minister has been trolled as much as Narendra Modi. Any prime minister has been sort of mocked as much. Any prime minister's policies have been trivialized as much as Narendra
Not
Modi's.
even Dr. Manmohan Singh?
Not
when
at
he was
all.
called
Not his
Manmohan
policies.
Singh and several
Not his
other-
policies. Never trivialized. People said that he would not. In fact, Manmohan Singh said the other day, Dr. Manmohan Singh said the other day, people accused me of not speaking. What about this prime minister? He only talks in a monologue with people. He never interacts with people. He's not had a press conference in 4.5 years. So while people may have an opinion about an individual, other people may have another opinion about the candidate who is the present prime minister, who is now vying for winning the 2019 election.
Well, let's talk about what the Prime Minister actually has to say about Rahul before we get back to the book. Could it be the reasons that perhaps you're not translating what you have mentioned is a poor track record of the NDA into electoral success? And let's be honest about that. They've been tepid, your victories, and few and far in between, and sometimes owed more to coalition alliances or partners. It's because the people haven't learned to quite respect Rahul Gandhi because they feel that he hasn't earned the right to lead the Congress party. They see him as a namdar and not, as the Prime Minister says, as a kamdar. How do you address that?
The Prime Minister, any Prime Minister must also be a kamdar and an imandar. I think these are very important qualities of any Prime Minister. No, I don't know where Narendra Modi fits in. But as his policies have shown, that he makes a statement and it turns out to be untrue. I mean, he goes to Uttar Pradesh and says Gorakhnath and Kabir and Guru Nanak Dev had a conversation at this place, knowing full well that Gorakhnath was born in the 13th century, Kabir was born in the 14th century, and Guru Nanak Dev in the 15th century. Now here is a Prime Minister who seriously makes these statements, which are all in the public domain. So we can carp about anybody we like. I think let's talk about policies. What has this government delivered? And the book is about that. The book is not about individuals. It's about the deliveries of the NDA government in the last 4.5 years. And I think if this country is to move forward, we should move away from A, B, and C and work together, including the press, to see what are the policies that any government has adopted and what are the deliverables and what have been the deliveries. And that's what we should be talking about instead of John Elliott or somebody talking about Rahul Gandhi or I talking about the Prime Minister. The fact of the matter is that this country has been disrupted in every way because it's run by a disruptive mindset. And the only consequences of a disruptive mindset is disruptive politics and disruptive economics.
We'll take it a step at a time. Let me come back. Rahul Gandhi has taken the party to the brink of an existential crisis. I'm not saying this. This is Jairam Ramesh. It's important. He's saying, and I want to quote him, August 8, 2017. He says, the Congress had faced electoral crisis from 96 to 2004 and in 1977. But today, the Congress is facing an existential crisis. It's not an electoral crisis. The party really is in deep crisis. We're up against Mr. Modi, Mr. Shah, and they think differently. They act differently, something that you referred
Without
to.
a doubt.
And if they are not flexible in our approach, we will become irrelevant. Now, I'm asking you, is Rahul Gandhi the person who is going to be able to articulate the beautiful points you have made? And I'm saying this without exception. The shades of truth, there are some truths, a lot of them, valid truths in this book. So I'm saying, is he the man who is going to be able to make an impression?
He's the president of the party. He is the leader of the party. The party, at this point in time, is entering into alliances with like-minded parties at the state level. I think that we have to forget about our differences because this is a very big battle that we have to fight against the BJP. I don't think that we should take the enemy lightly. I don't think we should take the NDA and the BJP lightly. We have to fight this battle together. And I think it will be a collective battle. Don't talk of individuals here. What we need to do is put together alliances at state levels to destroy the juggernaut that we faced.
I'll come to that. Why can't a self-made, intelligent, articulate, experienced man like Kapil Sibal be the prime ministerial face of the Congress party?
Impossible. Impossible.
Why?
I just don't have the gravitas. I don't have the mass support. And I'm just a member, a full soldier of the Congress party, and I want to remember
Rahul Gandhi has the gravitas.
He does.
He has
people support him. He's been elected. Everywhere he goes, the Congress party, the Congress workers applaud him. Why do you say he doesn't have the gravitas? Really, because a television channel will only when you talk about 2019 only talk about Rahul Gandhi. I think there's much more to politics.
But this is becoming an increasingly presidential system. 2014 was absolutely presidential. 2019 will be made presidential. Modi says, and let me quote him. He says, "Till Rahul Gandhi is on the other side, we are coming back."
Well, let him live in a world of make believe. But the existential crisis that you talked about is this country. That's the issues we should be talking about. Look at what's happening to agriculture. Look what's happening to industry. I mean, in any other country, if there had been demonetization like this in this fashion, and India lost 1.5% of GDP, and these are now official figures, any prime minister would have resigned by now. He would have been forced to resign. 100 people died. Who is accountable for it? That's the existential crisis that we face. You walk on the street, you're afraid who's going to hit you. The kind of things that are now emerging on the Sanatan Sanstha, the Ram Sena, the Gauri Lankesh, the Pansare, the Kalburgi, who was behind all this, the kind of lynchings that are taking place. People fear. A woman says, "You're a fascist government," or fascist, and she is put in jail. I mean, this is the existential crisis that we should be worried about. Let's not worry about individuals. We need to save this country from the shenanigans of a leader who has fooled the people of this country.
But you need to be able to offer an alternative.
Yes, the alternative is there. I'll give you the alternative.
I'll come down to that. Well, I've got that right there. We'll come down to, and you have some interesting thoughts on it, which I need to really probe a little bit more. Let me put it another way. If Rahul Gandhi doesn't take you back into power in 2019, do you think you should step aside?
We will come back in 2019. Narendra Modi will not be the Prime Minister of India.
You haven't offered an alternative narrative till now.
What alternative narrative was there?
Criticizing every policy.
What alternative narrative was there in 2004? You had Atal Bihari Vajpayee on one side. You had no leader on the other side.
You had India shining that went south.
So that's all right.
And let me talk about existential crisis. Many people will say corruption. You've used communalism to suggest, and divisive politics and so forth, to suggest there's an existential crisis. You said demo has cost us because it shaved off 1.5% from our GDP numbers. Many people have said under the UPA corruption so rampant, shaved off the ability to have gained
tell me
a couple of percentage
Tell me, people talked about corruption in the telecom sector. What happened? What happened?
The Supreme Court came in and cancelled licenses.
And then what happened? That corruption was not proved. In fact, there was not even a charge, incidentally, in the CBI. There was not even a charge of loss. There was no evidence led on loss.
The Supreme Court,
and the judge said, Supreme Court
made some harsh observations.
That's true.
About, but I'll come
like
to all
the Supreme Court made hard observations about Nero.
Anyhow, the point was corruption cost, pegged us back. The word used was paralysis.
Where is that?
Policy paralysis.
Please tell me where. It's 8.2%. Let's talk of facts.
Yeah, please.
Not just emotive sentences.
Sure.
2004 to 2014. Now the figures are out. India grew at 8.2%. Never in the history of this country. Is that policy paralysis? 8.2%. These are facts. Let's not say what Supreme Court. No, accept it. These are facts. Number two, India grew at 10%, over 10.2% in 2005-06. Never in the history of this country.
After that, we saw a tapering off.
Yes, of course, because there was a global crisis. You know that.
Well, today
2007-08 was a global crisis, and therefore the growth tapered off. But in the last year, it came back to over 6.9%.
There were NPAs.
Let's talk of NPAs.
Mounting NPAs.
Please, let's talk of it.
There were people who ran around taking loans and never paid them back.
Let's talk of it.
The banks were in a crisis.
Again, let's talk of it. You see, let's talk substance.
Yeah,
why did NPAs happen? Let me now explain to you. Why are we in this? You know, this morning there was a news item that coal imports in this country are on an all-time high. All-time high. Not enough coal is produced by Coal India. And coal is imported because many of the power plants and many of the steel plants don't have coal.
But that was also
just
true
one
of
second.
UPA years.
No, it wasn't.
Towards
Please,
the end.
it was not. Let me explain. How did the MPS came about? When the licenses were cancelled by Supreme Court, people who had captive coal blocks, who had built power plants with an investment of 20,000 crores, 15,000 crores, 10,000 crores, did not have any coal. Because the Supreme Court had cancelled the coal blocks.
They did so because they were faulty.
Please, you are talking about NPS. Now I am telling you the reason for the NPS. Those people who put up the power plants had borrowed from the bank. If the coal block was cancelled, they had no raw material to run the power plant. And because they could not run the power plant, they could not pay back the banks. And therefore the NPS came about. And who was responsible for it? The CAG, the BJP, and ultimately the court.
The CAG. You've mentioned a great deal about the CAG.
I'm giving you now the reason why NPS happened. And then after they happened, and after they came to power, those very businessmen were giving more loans by this government, despite the fact that their balance sheets were negative. So let's not just blame. You see, these are all good sound bites. But let's understand the genesis of the problem.
The problem was that there was state resource that was treated like largesse.
Where?
The Supreme Court has said.
See, that has not been proved.
The Supreme Court has said that the allocations were arbitrary.
Correct, but not proved. No corruption proved.
We can come to that. That's a matter that still lies before
Supreme
the courts.
Court. You see, one second. Let's be clear. Supreme Court is not God. Let's be clear.
You mentioned that in your book.
Supreme Court is not God.
The Supreme
Court. We are all human beings. People can go wrong. People can go right. You can go wrong. I can go wrong. Yeah. So let's not quote anybody. Let's go into the genesis of it.
But the matter is still not decided.
What's not decided?
The matter about whether there was actually malfeasance.
No, it's decided by the court.
We know, but there's an appeals process.
So appeal process is a long.
Yes,
see, as long as the matter is not decided, there is no corruption.
Okay.
Good.
Let's talk about the Mahagathbandhan. You speculate in your book, and we are now talking about the alternative,
yes,
which is important.
Right.
You speculate in your book about the outcome of the 2019 elections, Mr. Sibal.
Right.
Firstly, you do admit in your book that forging the Mahagathbandhan is not going to be easy. Why do you think so?
It can't be. There can't be a Mahagathbandhan, according to me. That's my personal opinion. Because it's impossible to bring together a disparate set of parties with different ideologies on one common platform with an all-India agenda. This can happen if a coalition government is formed and we can have, an agenda of the alliance. A
post-poll coalition.
That's possible. But our target should be to look at elections in Uttar Pradesh and in Bihar. These are the two main, because the BJP is absent in Tamil Nadu, BJP is absent now in Andhra, absent in Telangana, absent in Kerala, almost absent in West Bengal, almost absent in Odisha, right? Has a presence in Karnataka. So if you look at, and of course now has a presence in the northeast. So if you look at south of the Vindhyas, what the situation is, they're almost blank. In the north, the real two states, they got 71 seats in Uttar Pradesh. And in the context of what happened in the by-elections, because Akhilesh and Mayawati joined hands, it's going to be difficult for them to win many seats in Uttar Pradesh. So 71 in Uttar Pradesh and in Bihar, they had a substantial, very few seats were won by the RJD and others. So if we can have alliances in these two big states, I think we're through. Why should we have a Mahagathbandhan? Why is the need for a Mahagathbandhan?
So let's explore that. Now, you pinned a lot of hopes on the Congress BSP-SP tie-up in Uttar Pradesh, the Congress RJD tie-up in Bihar.
Right.
Now, doesn't it concern you that the grouping is founded on a degree of opportunism, Mr. Sibal?
I see.
Profound
First
opportunism.
of all, let's be clear on it. Let's be clear on it. What is opportunism?
No, let's not get philosophical.
No,
I'll tell you what it is.
No, look.
When the leader of a political party is convicted, now in this case he is convicted, Lalu Prasad, for corruption, for looting the people, the exchequer, fodder, as you know, not once but in multiple cases. So about 4 judgments. And he is serving an extended sentence.
Right.
Aren't you sacrificing probity for political winnability?
See, let's look
Isn't
at
that a heavy price to pay?
One second. If he is convicted of corruption, he can't fight the election. Let's be clear on it. He can't fight the election under the law. We are having an alliance with his party. We're not having an alliance with Lalu Prasad Yadav. He can't fight the election. There is Tejasvi. There are others in the party. This is a political alliance with the political party, not based on corruption. And if you talk about, if you talk about corruption, I can give you several ministers who were convicted of corruption.
No, let me tell you,
in Gujarat,
contradictory. Coming to Gujarat,
in Gujarat,
they weren't even
corruption.
convicted. There were certain individuals that you accuse of being completely and totally wedded to a communal, divisive, murderous ideology. Listen to me.
Yes.
And they are supposed to be political untouchables according to the Congress, and they haven't even been convicted.
Who's
talking
about that?
We are talking the Congress. The Congress targets the BJP president continuously.
I'm not even talking about him. Why are you defending a person
who
I'm not talking about?
I am bringing out the contradiction.
There's no
You're
contradiction.
saying that till the man can't contest an election, even though he is convicted.
I don't know who you're talking about.
We're talking about Lalu. When you talk about Lalu.
You're talking about Lalu.
Yes, we're talking about Lalu. Right now, you said that because he's convicted,
yes, he can't fight
and he is
election.
not fighting an election, everything is kosher.
It is.
Lalu Prasad Yadav directs the RJD. He micromanages it.
We are a political party.
So there are no
RJD is a political
untouchables.
party. We are not having an alliance on corruption. I don't understand what you're talking about. Are we having an alliance on corruption? We are having an alliance on the basis of a common ideology that is secular, which is secular, an ideology which seeks to defeat the fascist forces of this country.
A person who is the end-all and be-all of his political party is soiled in corruption, is kosher for the Congress party.
I don't understand the question, first of all.
The question is
I am not
straightforward.
having an alliance with Lalu Prasad Yadav. RJD, all of RJD is corrupt. Every member of the RJD is corrupt.
Well,
I just
it's
want
only
to
a
know
matter
from
of
you.
degrees.
No, it's not a question of degree. It's not a question of degree.
Moral levity.
For example, why did the president of the BJP, why did Amit Shah become a president of the BJP when he was facing charges?
And very serious charges. He wasn't convicted. Some people said it was a political witch hunt.
Oh yeah,
you know what happened.
This is not a political witch hunt.
You know what
this is not a political witch hunt.
You know what happened with the lawyer case that was thrown out by the Supreme Court?
I want to know from you. This is not a political witch hunt.
He's been convicted.
RJD, so what? It is can still be a political witch hunt.
Okay, then anything can be a political witch hunt.
Of course it can be.
Even the 2G spectrum could have been a political witch hunt.
Sorry?
Even the 2G spectrum scandal could have been a political witch hunt.
I have very serious doubts about the genesis of the 2G scandal.
Well, you see,
quite frankly,
we can have elastic morality. We can have elastic morality. That's fine. I'm not going to contest that morality. What about the governance records of the Samajwadi Party, the BSP? They haven't covered themselves in glory. And are you suggesting that if you were to unite with them and you were to come to power at the center with them, you would be able to deliver Achhe Din?
I have to say that, the Yogi Adityanath government has covered itself in glory.
Forget them.
They might be
booted out of power.
Let's not.
We're talking about alternatives.
I'm talking about the present government. Yogi Adityanath is a glorious example of the best form of government that anybody can give to this country, where he is himself charged. You know that?
But that
he's
doesn't
charged
absolve
where
the
he's
Congress.
withdrawing cases against criminals.
Sure.
One second. How is Modi
All
tolerating
that might be all that might be true.
Why is Modi tolerating that?
But you're saying that because of these decisions, the BJP is going to pay.
I am asking you, why is Modi tolerating that?
Well, let me ask you the counter question.
Why did Modi have an alliance with
You have written an entire book.
Why Mr. Mufti?
Mr. Sibal, you've written an entire book.
You're not talking about the book. Unfortunately,
we're not talking about the book. You've talked about the Mahagathbandhan.
Politics beyond the book. No, I have said Mahagathbandhan is not possible.
I know. So we're therefore, you're talking about smaller alliances, and I'm just bringing out the contradictions in that sense. Let me finish. You've written an entire book saying that the Modi government hasn't brought Achhe Din. It's becoming
not brought Achhe Din. That's the
it's becoming apparent from the reams of data that you have meticulously collated.
Understatement of the century.
Important people like Arun Shourie and Hamid Ansari and the former Prime Minister have held up as a textbook, as an essential documentation, essential reading. Even if one were to accept this as the whole truth and not just a shade of truth, Mr. Modi will pay the electoral price. Let's look beyond that. Let's look beyond that.
I'll tell you beyond
I am asking you, what is it that the Congress party, with somebody like Mr. Sibal, there in the ranks, in his advisory capacity, is going to offer the people of this country? Are you going to offer the same opportunism that we have seen time and again?
One second.
And you call this a secular alliance based on secular shared values. Now let me point out something. That's hardly the glue. TRS, secular, very secular party from Telangana, abstained from voting during the no confidence motion.
Are we talking about the book,
the
or
BJP
are we talking about...
No, we're talking about your configuration. We're talking about the two states that you say are going to lead you into New Delhi.
No, I'm not saying any of that. I'm only saying...
You're saying that these two... No, you've said that in the book. You've said
I said that...
And I will read out the...
I said that Modi has not delivered. He sold a dream. He's fooled the people of this country. He is the largest non-performing asset of India.
Look, you have said...
That's what I said.
If in these two states the BJP
is an
is not...
let's
talk about it.
It is Narendra Modi.
Okay, fair enough. If in these two states the BJP is not able to get a substantial number of seats, it will be difficult for Narendra Modi to be Prime Minister in 2019.
That's correct.
And then you go on to explore on how perhaps the Congress can stitch up other alliances with the NCP, with the TMC, which you say you need to resolve, etc. But I'm coming back to this point. You're saying that the alternative narrative that you are offering, and you made it very clear in your book in different places, is a secular, inclusive dialogue.
No, I say one second. There are. You see, you must have this dialogue at two levels. One is the level of political alliances in opposition to the BJP. The other is the issue of policies to take this government forward once we have a majority. Right? These are two separate issues. We are at the moment talking about political alliances to defeat the BJP.
That's right.
And I am willing to say that we will form any alliance with a like-minded, ideologically like-minded party to defeat the NDA. This is my position politically.
Your ideologically like-mindedness.
It has nothing to do with corruption. It has nothing to do.
But it has a lot to do with inclusiveness and secularism, right?
It is lot to do with the Constitution of India. Anybody who values those values that are enshrined in the Constitution of India.
Yes, which is liberty, equality, fraternity.
Not just that. It's not just liberty, equality, fraternity. It is the ability to ensure that our focus should always be on the people who are at the bottom of the ladder, to ensure prosperity there. We must always support free speech. Always support free speech. We must ensure that there is no violence in society.
Okay.
We should not encourage people being attacked. We should not destroy institutions. In other words, what's happening in this country is that there is no difference.
Let's talk about the last points that you've raised, and then we'll talk about the other stuff. Mr. Sibal, you're right. Apart from perpetrating the cult of majoritarianism, the spread of communal hatred and violence serves as a political and obviously electoral purpose. This is what you've written.
Yes.
You also talk about vitriolic statements made by the BJP members,
MPs,
Yogi Adityanath, Sakshi Maharaj, issues such as love jihad, lynching, so and so. Once again, fair criticism. No one can find fault with that. But let me ask you, your party accuses the BJP of using the cow to provoke. and to polarize. But Mr. Kamal Nath promises to do Gau Seva in Madhya Pradesh. I have
Gau
documents
Seva
here.
does not mean killing people in the name of the cow.
He promises that a Gaushala will be built in every village if the Congress is voted to power in Madhya Pradesh. Now I want to ask you, isn't this paying lip service to secularism, to the idea of secularism?
What have I said in the book? And there's a poem on it.
I've read
that
the poem.
You cannot kill people in the name of protecting the cow. That's what I'm talking about.
We are talking
whether somebody opens a Gaushala, nothing wrong with the Gaushala.
We are talking about religious symbolism that is used to polarize and used to provoke.
No. That is what is being done by this government.
You have not fallen back on any religious symbolism?
No, what is the religious
Mr. Sibal, let me tell you. Rahul Gandhi dabbled in religious politics, apart from, of course, wearing the janju, talking about it, going to mandirs, etc., etc.
A Hindu should not go to a mandir.
Suddenly,
Hindu should not go to a mandir.
Suddenly, listen to me, suddenly. In Karnataka, the Lingayats were promised a separate religion. Isn't that divisive? Isn't that a
Lingayats were promised
a separate religion? Isn't that a divisive?
Well, that's a matter for the court to decide, as you know.
Your own ministry,
that's right,
in your own government in the UPA said that this was not a tenable.
So the courts will decide whether it's a separate religion or not.
So going out there and enthusing people on the basis of religion to demand a certain something for themselves, to split from the larger.
1 second. If the Lingayats believe that they are not Hindus, 1 second. If the Lingayats believe that they are not Hindus, that issue has to be dealt with.
Your government settled it. There are documents to show that in the Ministry of Home Affairs, this entire issue was discussed threadbare and it was set aside.
That
but
doesn't
Rahul
prevent
Gandhi goes and plays with religious sentiments.
That doesn't prevent a community to ask for it.
Okay, then let me ask
the Jains,
you.
For example, the Jains said that they are a separate religion. And it took many years for people to accept that. Right? And at the state level, most of the states have accepted it now.
So what changed between 2011 and 20?
There were times they did not accept it.
So what has changed?
Nothing.
The UPN power said, reject this demand, it's harmful, it will lead to
fine. And those people made the demand. Rahul Gandhi has not said, yes, this is the demand.
UPA accepted it and ruled on it and said this is not happening. So when you go back and open that can of worms, what are you doing?
What is the can of worms you open? Somebody has asked for a demand, you say, okay, there's their demand.
The BJP, you say, is guilty of stoking majoritarianism. Majoritarian terrorism is what you have said, Mr. Sibal.
Yes.
Your party tacitly tied up with the SDPI, the political wing of the PFI, which is under the NI radar for hate crimes against Hindus.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It has happened in Karnataka in the last election.
I don't know.
I have documents here that show your political party, sir, sharing a stage with this group.
So we have tied up.
It's a tacit understanding with a very communal. It's a bit like the BJP tying up. It's a bit like the BJP tying up with an outrageously communal organization to fight an election.
I am shocked at your allegation. Is this photograph show that the Congress has an alliance with them?
It's in your political headquarters. This is the Social Democratic Party of India. This is a Dharwad district office.
Somebody may have come.
These are press conferences.
Shared platform. What was said in the press conference?
Plenty. That we must fight the BJP together.
So nothing wrong. If we want to fight the BJP, we should say they should
in alliance with a party that is being investigated. Please, in alliance.
The
PFI withdrew candidates from 25 seats in favor of the Congress party.
Please understand that. Is this a formal alliance with the party?
It's a tacit understanding.
Oh, now you just said alliance, now you say tacit understanding.
Well, it is.
It is your opinion.
Well,
if somebody wants to fight the BJP, why should we oppose it? So photograph of what?
If BJP leaders were sharing a stage with Sanatan Sharma activists who were contesting elections, you would...
You know Mehul Choksi.
No, you
have you heard of Mehul Choksi?
You will point out Jain Sinhas.
Have you heard of Mehul Choksi?
We have, of course.
Have you heard of somebody sharing the stage with him?
1 second. Let me come back to the point. We are talking about...
Let's talk of constructive issues to take this country forward.
I am wondering
You are just trying snippets from here and there to say that you should not have any political alliances with anybody to fight the BJP.
Well, there's an alternative that you must provide.
The alternative is there.
We can't repeat the same history that has brought us to this point. That's the whole point of your book.
Please tell the BJP that.
Okay, but you're absolved.
There's no question of absolving. We will give an alternative to this government.
Mr. Antony said the Congress policy is equal justice to everyone. Very important constitutional objective there. But people doubt whether the policy is being implemented or not. This doubt is created by the party's proximity towards minorities, and such a situation would open the door for the entry of communal forces into Kerala.
I am really sorry that on a national television channel you are trying to sort of rake up the same horrible communal issues that should not be discussed when constructive issues should be discussed.
These are constructive
What
issues.
is the constructive
How to build
issue?
a secular, tolerant India.
So therefore, all minorities should be thrown out of the country. Is this your position? The minorities in this country should be thrown out?
No, not at all.
So
to the absolute contrary. To the absolute contrary, you can't have double standards on the question of secularism.
What is the double
Sibal.
standard?
The Congress party has.
What
Salman Khurshid will tell you. Salman Khurshid said when he was questioned by AMU students, he admitted that the Congress too had Muslim blood on its hands.
You know, please ask Salman Khurshid why he said what he said.
And he came
but
out
what
and
is the
said
gap
that
got to do with double standards of the Congress party?
Because you have said that
you have said you quote once again. You quote Eliot. You quote Eliot. You quote Salman Khurshid. You quote some other person, and then you attribute everything to the Congress party. This is not the way to carry on a constructive dialogue with a national channel. Please don't quote people to attribute everything to the Congress party.
I'm not.
I mean, I may disagree with Salman Khurshid. If I disagree, will you accept my disagreement? So then why are you quoting him to me?
Because he brings out
that's his opinion. I disagree entirely. And I disagree with Eliot. I disagree with Eliot.
And he questions the Congress's commitment
to secularism. So therefore, if once somebody makes a statement, that's the Congress party position.
Okay, so
is that what constructive journalism is? That somebody's words become the Congress party position.
Let's take a pause for 30 seconds.
Yes.
Where we're at right now is to try and understand what the Congress is going to offer the voter in 2019, which will inspire him or her to vote for the Congress.
If you allow me, sir, I will tell you.
Please.
Number one, peace and security in this country. Everybody should be allowed to do his own trade, his own business, without being interfered through violent means. That's the first thing we will ensure. Number two, economic growth, which was at a peak never before in the history of country. That's the basis on which a country moves forward, right? The CBI and the ED and the income tax should not be in the hands of a government that use them for the purposes of their political
It shouldn't be a caged parrot.
It's not. It's much worse than a caged parrot. They're on a leash.
Again, moral relativism.
On a leash, so that they are doing the bidding of this government. Number two. Number three.
A CBI on a leash is worse than a caged parrot.
One second. No, it's much worse. Number three. We must ensure that when a government comes to power, the political party does not take over the country. That's the third thing we'll offer. Today, the RSS has taken over this country. It's no longer a government. It is the RSS, the governors, educational institutions, the Prime Minister, the ministers are all RSS people. There is no difference between government and party anymore.
Some people would say, including people like Sanjay Baru, would say that Sonia Gandhi...
You are asking me for an alternative.
Sonia Gandhi was running the UPA.
I'm giving you an alternative. You're not allowing me to say. Right? Peace and tranquility, ease of business. Everybody should be allowed. No leash. Allow the agencies to function in a manner which is hands-off approach. Number 4, economic growth. And number 5, no infiltration of the party. And number 6, we must give a clean government to this country. Right? These are the constructive. Now I can break them up. What will we do in education? This government has no idea about education. They are only filling up these educational institutions.
Let's talk about peace and tranquility.
Let's talk about peace and tranquility.
You have talked about this.
See what's happening in Kashmir. And a foreign policy which is not based on...
With due respect, Mr. Sibal,
yes.
The only way we are going to have peace and tranquility is if we reconcile also to our past.
Absolutely.
But Rahul Gandhi doesn't seem to want to reconcile
I don't know why
the Congress to its past. It's a fact. Let's get to the facts.
I don't know. What is the fact? Please tell me the fact.
Mr. Manmohan Singh apologized for the anti-Sikh killings of 1984.
Yes.
In London, Rahul Gandhi says that the Congress was not involved. In 2014, he said some congressmen were possibly and probably involved. So what do you want? It is 1984.
14 years. One second. It's 1984 to Today,
4
what
years.
are we in? 2018? Is Rahul Gandhi delving into the past? Is your channel delving into the past?
Is that a defense?
I accuse you.
Rahul Gandhi was 14
I
in
accuse
84, so
I
he's
am
absorbed.
here accusing the channel
Okay.
of bringing up issues which have no relevance to the future of India, except the fact that the Prime Minister of India has already apologized in Parliament. I think that should be the end of the matter, and you should, as a channel, not rake up these issues, because these are divisive issues. Please, let's India move forward.
Divisive issues, so you should not be asked a question about the 84
It's been already.
rights?
It's already been stated
So
in Parliament.
when he responds to the question, he goes out.
Rahul,
he goes out and he
know,
says that no, please,
I
Mr.
am
Sibal.
sorry. I am sorry that this conversation should not be moved forward in this fashion.
So we should not
When a
be
Prime
talking
Minister
about
of a country and a member of the Congress party has in Parliament apologized, and Mrs. Gandhi has also said the same thing.
Okay.
I think you, as a national channel, should not be raking up these issues.
Let's
This
talk
is my
about
request to you.
Okay, let's talk about stifling dissent. Is the sub-chapter where the mind is with fear, in that particular chapter, you underline your arguments. Can you expand on these for Times Now's viewers? What do you exactly mean that under the Modi government, the mind is with fear?
Isn't it with fear? People walking around the street, they are pulled up, killed, no investigation done. The people who are victims, cases are foisted on them, and the people who are the accused are granted bail. And this lynching happened just the other day. Every day there is an instant of lynching. There is a targeting of the Dalit community, what is happening in various parts of the country. There's an upsurge now. And this is all the result of the fact that the Prime Minister keeps silent and this government keeps silent. This is the fear. You ask any businessman, he is afraid of speaking his mind. The investment has gone out of this country. Thousands of businessmen are now investing outside, they're not investing here. It is fear. People are being targeted through the investigating agencies. Then you are told, I mean, you know very well, and then this whole, see, and I personally think that the richest party in the world is the BJP. They use money power, they use the agencies, they use the income tax authorities, and I know for a fact that they send word and say, iske piche dhoondo, kisi tarike se isko phasao. That's why people live in fear. Find out what is against him. Find out something. That's why people live in fear. Your channels. Why is it, I mean, of course, time now has turned a leaf, I believe. But why is it that the media is not even responding to what's happening on the ground?
You're talking about the Maoist crackdown? What
No,
are you
I'm talking about several, not just one. See, if people in Surat, 10 lakh people come on the street, you don't show it.
So, no, it is shown. It is very well broadcasted. I just want to talk about the environment.
The
Since
fear.
we're talking about present
Yes,
times,
I'm talking about fear. See what is happening.
the crackdown on the alleged Maoists.
The Supreme Court is saying, how are these encounters taking place? We had a petition in court today where the Yogi Adityanath has said, withdraw 131 cases of heinous crimes against people. And the BJP fellow says, the MLA says, you know, that this is in public interest.
Let's talk a little bit about this crackdown on dissent, because leading intellectuals, Raminath Thapar, have moved court, the Supreme Court, etc., saying that there has been a worrying crackdown on dissent in this country. And she's held up the case of these 5 individuals who were arrested and put under house arrest after the Supreme Court intervened. Now, the issue here is that even the UPA, and I have to go back in time, the UPA also put in jail the same set of people.
See, look,
So how are things getting worse, Mr. Sibal?
Look, if you think that things have been better since 2014,
I'm not saying that.
You're welcome to that opinion.
I'm just
but I
saying,
think
how
it's
are
for
things
all to
getting
see.
worse? History might be repeating itself.
It's for all to see. It's for all to see. Whether prior to 2014, what was the state of this country? And after 2014, what's the state of this country? I don't have to answer that question. The people of this country know that they live in fear. Businessmen come to me and say, we're afraid to say anything.
Okay.
Right? Your bureaucrats don't talk on the phone anymore.
Is it,
right?
your constant refrain is anymore, as if it never happened in the past.
It never happened in my time. It never happened.
In February 2014,
I can assure you it never happened in my time. I mean, the kind of agitation that
and I'm sure as a law minister, you would have actually had
I don't know what
had a view, because you
were
law minister
you always
at that time.
bring surprises in an interview, so let's see the surprise.
These are stories that we have broken.
I don't know. I'm sure you have.
If you could...
You tell me.
In February 2014, your government submitted a sworn affidavit in the SC, Supreme Court, to testify, and let me quote this. CPI Maoists mobilizing certain targeted sections of population, especially urban populations, through its mass organizations. That's the same charge that is being applied today. These mass organizations are generally manned by ideologues who include academicians and activists fully committed to the party line. Such organizations ostensibly pursue human rights related issues and are adept at using legal process to undermine action by forces. These ideologues have kept Maoist movement alive, are in many ways more dangerous than the cadre of the People's Liberation
So did we name anybody there?
Yes, you have. In fact, you submitted in Parliament a list of organizations, NGOs, running into around 70. Some of these people who were arrested today belong to those NGOs. This is your government. So, why single out the NDA?
No, I'm not singling out the NDA.
You just
we are saying where's the evidence?
You said
Please understand. Where's the evidence?
We'll have to wait for that.
So then?
We'll have to wait for that.
So
an
now,
arrest happens.
This
person is presumed innocent.
This is unique.
The state has to.
Let me just tell you, Rahul, this is unique in this country.
That.
In this country, you arrest a person first, then you figure out what the evidence is. In normal countries,
but that's
people
a presumption.
No, that's no presumption.
It's not a presumption.
There's not a presumption. You don't arrest people just like that. Only it happens in this country. In other countries, investigation takes place earlier. You first have the evidence, then you arrest a person. Here, you arrest a person, then you find out what the evidence is.
An affidavit has been submitted today, as we speak, in the Supreme Court, detailing the nature of the evidence against these people.
I say in the Hadia case that I was arguing in Supreme Court, lots of affidavits were submitted. Right? None of that was true.
Yeah, but that
and
doesn't
also
mean,
by the NIA.
But that doesn't mean that we
no,
can
I'm not saying. So don't.
You're a man of the law.
Look. Facts stated by government are not always true.
Absolutely.
Facts stated by agencies are not always true. Facts stated by agencies are not always true. Therefore, don't keep relying. For example, I am defending several people in this country, and I can assure you I know the facts. Right? Many of the stats that the investigating agencies are put before the court are untrue. Because they have to make out a case. They have to justify what they have done. They're bound to file affidavit. You think they'll file an affidavit? No, he was innocent. They're bound to justify. So don't give me those affidavits. All that will happen. All that will be tested in a court of law as and when the evidence comes before a court of law.
But till then, the Congress
the same thing happened in the corruption in 2G.
The Congress party is free to continue the same thing happened that the crackdown is illegal.
No. The crackdown is illegal because there is no prima facie evidence at the moment before.
The court will assess that.
No, but there is no. You have to tell the people why is it. You have to give them reasons.
That has happened today.
Oh. But that's to be tested.
Well, again, you're contradicting yourself. That is for the court to decide. We can't say that there is no evidence when the government and the police machinery.
We're not getting into a slanging match.
No, we're not at all.
Merely because somebody has filed an affidavit doesn't mean it's true. So I'm not contradicting anything.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not contradicting anything.
But merely by arresting individuals who are under suspicion for activities best known to the government, and let's concede that point. We can't say that there is an absolute crackdown on dissent.
All that I said was that there is no prima facie proof except the act of arrest. You are taking the act of arrest as proof.
That's where we differ.
I am saying an act of arrest cannot be proof.
Well, let me...
That's all. That's simple logic. I don't think that can be
I've run out
disputed.
of time, and we haven't even got to the judiciary part and the other fabulous expositions that you have done in this book. And I can tell readers that this is necessary reading. For once, I do agree with some of those who've written at the back of this book that it must be picked up. Because, yes, Mr. Sibal has used a lot of facts to marshal his arguments. Now, we can disagree with those facts, and I have tried. I have tried here to question him on those facts, but they remain on paper, and they must spark a debate. We leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Sibal, for speaking to me.
Thank you.